Hey y'all, it's Thursday evening and I just feel like rambling a little bit. I'll see if this takes off, and if it does then I'll post it. Mm, Again, just want to just say hello and acknowledge that again today has been another challenging, every day is an interesting challenge, isn't it? It's really not like, just imagine, remember last year this time yourself. It's not the same, and each day is a bit of a challenge in many different ways. We're so connected that it's like hard to live under a rock and not be affected by news and events worldwide. So just hey everybody, be cool. I want to shout out someone who, I don't know if Mark watches my videos, but we've become friends through the internet. I haven't met him yet, but the Lucy Show is a band that goes back to the '80s that I thought kind of, I lumped them along with REM. They have their own sound, but it's in that same wheelhouse. Kind of Sons of the Birds and things like that. This is their album Undone. It's the only one I have, but I think this is still magnificent. Mark is a friend and interacts with me on Facebook, and I vibe with him. I'd love to meet him. He really does strike me as one of those real rock and roll people. Some of you all probably know what I mean when I say that. I don't mean it in a stereotypical way. I mean it in the historical way of, when rock meant something. It still does to some of us, but this is a good album if you don't know the band Lucy Show. And again, someone I'm glad to have in my my tribe. My neighbors are so loud. Can you hear them? They're across the street, but can you hear them in the background through my air conditioner? I was just listening to this. I've picked this up since someone sent some Death Grips to me a year or so ago, and since then I've grabbed this Bottomless Pit, and I like Zach Hill's drumming. I like the use of sampling, and the main cat. It's I see kind of a parallel to Dillinger Escape Plan in the way that this music hits me. It's an assault. There are things going on lyrically and psychologically with this music. It's not just entertainment. There's I don't think I'm reading more into it than there is. I think there's a lot going on here, and I get drawn into it. A real stark comparison. I mean, I do have I do know my hip hop. I don't show it, but I do know my artists. But this is a long way from how stupid Rick Ross sounds to me. Okay, this is some interesting shit. I like Death Grips a lot. Since pulling my Love album the other day, Arthur Lee just kind of popped up on my radar. And so since then I was able to access the documentary about Arthur Lee and Love. This is an original copy of their first album. I must state for the record that Arthur Lee is a early hero for me. It didn't escape me when I first heard 7 and 7 Is, before I saw the band and heard it on the radio. I immediately loved the manic, and then it was played so well, but it was that kind of rock and roll voice where I couldn't tell if it was black or white. It was rock. So when I saw Love, I think finally on the American Bandstand, it was a wonderful revelation, and I was not that surprised, but I was. I remember this, I was the times, the 60s, I was a kid. And it was not just Arthur Lee, but Johnny Eccles. They both looked so good, but also so cool. And they were the ones that were kind of, everyone was equal, but they were in charge. So I just want to acknowledge, and this is a truth, that Love and Arthur Lee, early, I guess you could call him hero, or just someone that I said, see. But again, it's like I didn't need to do that, but because of, see, this is why, this is what I'm talking about, and it's necessary for me to tell my story and my perspective about racism and how we're trying to deal with it, but how, because of the white dominance that I grew up with, particularly, especially in Nebraska, these things were monumental, and not just for me. So, Love, great band. I actually played this, pulled this, but I listened to this all the way through again. Forever Changes, reissue of it. This is high on many best records of all time lists. I agree. I think that this is. And then hearing the story about how the band was breaking up, heroin and things were a big problem. You can hear that, but Arthur Lee said it, and it wasn't a egotistical thing to say. He said it. He wrote about stuff that, when he was writing it, he thought it was timeless. I'm writing about stuff that everybody knows about. And he does have a poetic, cosmic way, with his mind. Very much like Hendrix. And also watching the documentary, it's of course racism, besides him not wanting to tour, but racism had something to do with it. But I could dig the kind of guy he was, when it talks about when he went to New York and he couldn't wait to get back to L.A. One of those kind of people. It's like my home. It's like my home bubble. Much respect to Arthur Lee and Love. Great piece of history. Was just finishing listening to this, since music is what's going on. It's helping me keep my sanity. I've got some projects going on, art-wise, thankfully. Some visual stuff. But listening to music and playing it is really helpful, because watching the news, which I have to kind of be careful with, man, there ain't nothing. There is good news, but the total picture is real bad. So thank goodness for music. Acquired this year, although I've had the CD since it came out, and saw Susie and the Banshees when they toured this. They played Lollapalooza when they were touring this album, Superstition, which is one of my favorite albums by them. This is very strong. Very strong. I call her my queen. She just is someone who, she has this inner, even when I first encountered her with the Sex Pistols, following and all that, the Bill Grundy show, was already just an inner dignity and inner integrity that she has always had. And it comes through in the way that she has always done her thing, sings, writes, performs. I still count the way that they performed at Lollapalooza when I saw them one of the best live performances I've ever seen. And I've seen over 1,000 different major, just to me, major artists perform. She just commanded, she just took over. And the whole band, they were just amazing. Played this again tonight. Have recently got this. I believe they're from a Dutch band. Group 1850, Paradise Now. Really cool how this stuff was put together. It's very psychedelic. Yeah, some people compare this a bit to the Jimi Hendrix sound. I'll give it that. And there's a reason I brought that up. But real heady, and the songs were put together by him, the main guy. I've talked about this recently, recording all their jams and then splicing it together and putting vocals on. Really good, really well done. Something I hadn't played in a long time. Davis Sancious in tone. This is considered fusion, but it's also prog, you know. I saw him with Peter Gabriel. He's played with everyone. Bruce Springsteen, you name it. It's a really good album. Transformation, Speed of Love. What, 1976? Great cover, too. It's very fitting for the music. Really seeking, you know, his music, looking for something. I hadn't played this in a while. There's a whole period of my background where Japanese music, because of Yellow Magic Orchestra, not J-pop, but there was a time when there was a circle of Japanese musicians I was really focused on trying to hear more of and collect. And Masami Tsuchiya, the guitarist in the middle, had this band Ippu-Do, and it was through his involvement with Japan and other stuff that I started picking up on his stuff. Radio Fantasy, pop, it is, but it's cool. It's got. They do Time of the Season on here, and it's, you know, for some reason it's catchy and it stands out. There's the original, and when I hear Time of the Season in my head, this version is so strong, I hear this version in my head as well as the Zombies. And I love the Zombies, and I have an original pressing of Odyssey and Oracle, U.S. pressing. But if you don't know this band, Ippu-Do, Radio Fantasy, and I was playing this, both sides. Jimi Hendrix is very important to my life, absolutely, in so many ways. Access Bold as Love. This is probably my third copy of the album. I've had a couple of originals. Beat to Hell. Always loved this cover, this artwork. That's just the whole legacy of Jimi Hendrix and what he was about, and the way he was gone way too soon, and how you could really kind of see it like a train coming down the track. It's just very important in my life. And the music, I love it, but it's important. It's important. Hendrix. Can't say enough. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, I was playing the John Hassell again. I really like this. And then some jazz, ECM, Steve Kuhn. Hadn't played this in a long time. Pianist, Steve Kuhn, Trance. This goes back to 1975 on ECM. Particularly love the way this first track sounds, the title track. It's like that. It sounds like rain, like on a water surface. It's beautiful and just really very impressionistic. I love this. One of my favorites. I've had this since it came out. Since 1975, I bought this new. Here's something I think someone sent to me, and it just popped out while I was over in the S's. Stephen R. Smith, Cities. This is kind of droney, minimalist, like the cover. He plays guitar and piano. Some other instruments on here. This is, this is all right. I listened to it, and then I went ahead and listened to all of it, and it's like, this is the sort of thing that it is experiential. Like, for example, if I happen to attend a performance of this, it would probably, depending on the night and everything, can be very all-encompassing. and then it can just kind of just be like, well, there it is, and it's not really catching my interest, or it's not, okay, I'm going to switch the record. It can be like that. But it's the other thing, it's the kind of music where, with minimalism, it can be up to the listener. I think all music really is up to the listener. If you want to find something in here to get a hold of, it's there. It is. It's an expression. It's a real expression. So it's a keeper. It's a keeper. Thank you if you happen to see this, whoever sent this to me. It was years ago. I didn't know about this guy. And I'll mention this again, that I'm really honored to be a part of the 50th anniversary performance of the title track, Weasels Rip My Flesh, which it is, because it's got, literally a Zappa on it performing the end like her dad. Good night, boys and girls. To be included in this, just to be included in this performance, that's a bucket lister for me. Thank you, Adam Minkoff, if you see this, Adam. And I'll stop with this. Buon, Vecchio, Charlie was talking about this. I had a viewer mention that they have the album with an alternate cover, and that's the cover that I have had it with on my burn for years until I got this. This is good. It in a way it's clunky at first, but by side two it's like, okay, they pulled it together. This is cool. It is the prog thing. It is the 70s prog thing. Buon, Vecchio, Charlie. Really glad I have this. And listen to more. If you see this, Arthur, this is fantastic. Listen to this all the way through, both discs. I just relate to this music. It is a part of my history. English rock. It's just a part of my history. And this is deep too. It's a 40 plus minute improvisation. I haven't gotten all the way through it, but it's it doesn't mess around. It does not mess around. And I went ahead and made a cover for the Harry Beckett that you sent me, Arthur, as well as the other Keith Tippett. I just like to do that. It's another, doing nerdy stuff like this, besides writing music and all this other stuff, is helping me not lose my mind. Because I could, my brother would be cool with me sharing this. I talk to him, not daily anymore, but almost daily. And one of the recent conversations, because we're close and he's my little brother, he just let it break. He went ahead and broke down for a second. And he said it with real despair in his voice. Man, this ain't gonna stop, is it? That was mild compared to the moment. He was like needing some reassurance from somebody, because this shit is not going away. And that's what's frustrating, because it's such a big world and things are so politicized and so fragmented that we can't get a blanketed message out that, hey everybody, if we could just get everyone to just literally plan it. It seems impossible, and yet that's what it would do. If you could literally get the planet to just totally minimize and what it's doing on top of all these other measures, these other safety measures, if we could just get through a period of 25, 30 days, if we could get through that, that is seemingly the most realistic chance we have of having the virus die off. But because of what I just said, of all this complex reasoning and politics, really muddying the water of thought and action, we can't get on top of this, and it just goes on, and that's what I see. And that's why I just kind of steel my nerves and bring it up like I do in the videos like this, because it helps me to state it. Yeah, we got to just deal with this because, it's not getting better. But we can see what it takes. Maybe eventually, because we keep stumbling and fucking up, that this can get to that point where it's like, okay, hey, let's coordinate this, Not, I don't want a lockdown. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if that's what it entails, what I'm talking about is a sensible, logical response to what we're dealing with in order to try to eradicate it, minimize it at the very least. Because how it's going, it's like it just it's over here, it's over there, and you can't see it. You just keep seeing the numbers go up, right? These places where things were looking good and all of a sudden they're not looking good. Am I right, New Zealand? Talk to me. I know y'all there with me. Germany. Here in Omaha, it's just fucked. We finally got a mask mandate, but here in redneck, backward-assed, yeah, real racist and corrupt Nebraska. The money here in Nebraska, it's well known by people beside. I mean, I know it, so it's known how corrupt the money is here in Nebraska. That's why we're finally got a mask mandate, because people can't think clearly. Distorted thinking. I'll say it before I go. I'm going on for a while because I'm going to let this upload overnight. Please, it appears that more and more people are coming to their senses that we have this imbecilic, self-centered, egotistical, infantile scumbag of a human being who got his way, spoiled brat. Trump got his way. I want to be president. And look what we have. And it's not more apparent now how unqualified and unable the man is able to process properly, and I do mean properly or objectively, anything. And let me say further, the fact that we have all these adults who actually accept this childish, foolish behavior, it's inexcusable to me that you have this adult, who literally, it's like behaviors that if, as a parent, you're not going to accept this. You would not accept this from your child. This is not what you're teaching them, and you're sure not going to have it unless you're a bad parent, right? And so it's even less acceptable from someone who's in the highest position of power in the country. It just must be stated, You can't spin the fact that this is bullshit and absolute. It's a disaster, and yet you have these people that are somehow. Well, I understand why they're saying Trump 2020. And it's like, you cannot get an objective discussion about factual information about what's happening worldwide under this administration that could justify a second term. There isn't, and that's why we have all this childish shit. So, have I blabbered on enough? I think I have for myself. So, let the music play.